I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, will you please note the roll?
Chairman Bray is here. Commissioner Kish is here. Commissioner Keys is here. Commissioner Maloney is here. Commissioner Steiner is here. Vice Chairman Barnes is absent. Commissioner Walters is absent. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. With that, I would ask for a motion to excuse both Commissioner Walters and Commissioner Barnes from this meeting this evening.
So moved.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Kish to excuse Commissioner Walters and Commissioner Barnes. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Before we continue into the next few agenda items here, I just want to make it known for anybody in the public. Agenda item 8.5, Able Ranch, has been administratively removed from the agenda. So there will be nothing on that this evening. That particular case will be renoticed at a time that it is ready. So if you're here for agenda item 8.5, Able Ranch, just know that we will not be going through that this evening. With that, I'll move into the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting from June 13, 2008. With that, I would ask that the minutes reflect a change on agenda item 8.3 in the vote. The 6 ayes, there was a 1 nay on that vote, and that was Commissioner Keys. So if the minutes will reflect that amendment, and with that, I'll take a motion for the on those minutes with the amendment, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the June 13 minutes with the amendment to item 8.3.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Keys, to approve the June 13, 2018 minutes with the amendment. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda item 5, public comments. Now is the time for any citizen to address this commission at this time on any non-agenda items. Are there any slips? Anyone from the public at this time? Thank you. Agenda item number 6 is disclosure of any ex parte communication. Is there any disclosures at this time from any members on the commission?
No.
Seeing none, we'll move right along. We will move into agenda item 7.1, and this is old business, but then this has been continued a few times. This is the rezoning of the El Cedro final PAD, and Katie's got some changes to this, but I will open the public hearing.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the Commission. Karen is going to come up and present the staff report, but I did want to explain some business to you first. This request included 2 separate applications, and you could see in the staff report both those different case numbers were included. They were similar but different requests. One from the developer, BET Investments, the other one from Beazer Homes, who's the home builder on the first phase of the El Cedro development. We are still working on some items with the BET case, but of course, Beazer Homes is anxious to get started. They're getting ready to start development of the project, which is exciting. And of course, with the council breakup coming, we don't want to hold them up. So we're going to be splitting these 2 cases. And so what we're going to be, even the staff report reflects both cases, but what we're going to be doing is only presenting to you the Beazer case. And we're going to ask you to approve this case, authorizing staff to make changes to the ordinance and PAD to separate the 2 cases out. Karen's presentation is going to be just on the Beazer piece, so you'll hopefully have a full understanding of what the request that's going to be before you tonight is. But just to give you a brief summary, there's Beazer is requesting a change to the rear setbacks to just the parcel they own today, the BET included a change to both the rear setbacks and the side setbacks. And that's the piece that's going to be continued to another time in the future while we work on a few things. So I hope that makes sense. Do you have any questions on that? Okay, then I'll go ahead and ask Karen to come up and she'll be able to present the case before you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie. The El Cedro PAD, to start out with the big picture, is the property outlined in red. It extends from Lower Buckeye on the north, south to south of the MC 85. It extends from Citrus on the west and to west of Cotton Lane on the east. This is the land use plan for El Cedro. It's primarily residential, but there is some commercial, industrial, and mixed use. Beazer Homes has purchased parcel 1D, 2, and 3. And the amendment that they are requesting is in just a portion of 1D. And to narrow that down a little further for you, again, same boundaries here as on the previous map. This is all of 1D, 2, and 3. But the 18-foot rear yard setback that they are requesting, a reduction from 20, is only on this parcel right here. It's actually phase 1 of parcel 1D. Okay, so out of everything that you saw on the aerial, the amendment that we're talking about tonight is just within here. And what they are proposing to do, this is the land development standards for all the residential. They are proposing just in this one area to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 18 feet on that one parcel, parcel 1D, phase 1A. And you can see from the footnote here that this will only be for one-story homes. They have a new product, a 75-foot long product that won't fit on the lot from the front setback line to a 20-foot rear setback. They need to encroach 2 feet and have an 18-foot setback. So all their two-story homes will be at the 20-foot setback. So again, just that one little section of the table is what's pertinent to this amendment tonight. And this is a graphic that shows what it's going to be. Rather than being at a 20-foot setback line back here, the home will go to the 18-foot setback. And because we are pleased that there's going to be another product, another home product to add to the diversity of the home products offered in this community, we are supportive of this change. And we hope that you can support it as well. And as Katie said, allow us to continue in the process of separating out the two staff reports out of the one and the ordinance stipulations, getting those all separated as well. But for this individual item for Beazer, we are hoping to move forward so that they can go to council before break and get this approved so we can add to the diversity of the homes in El Cedro. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for staff at this time? No. I take it the applicant is present. Would the applicant like to speak or address the commission at this time? Sure. For the record, your name and address, please.
Jeff Bliley, 701 North 44th Street, Phoenix, Arizona, here on behalf of Beazer Homes. And I just want to clarify one of the reasons we're doing this is we've done a number of PAD amendments on El Cedro. And a few years back, one of the stipulations was we added detached sidewalks to the project. Originally, it had sidewalks that were attached to the local streets, but now there'll be a boulevard, so it's detached. So what caused the need for this was that the front yard setback is from the back of the sidewalk. And so now when we created that 4 to 5 foot boulevard, it pushed the sidewalk farther up. So the options were to reduce the driveway length. If you want to maintain that driveway length of 20 feet to the garage so you can park and not overhang the sidewalk, we could either have reduced that or reduced the rear yard setback. So we went with the rear yard setback. It only applies to certain single-story homes, and what it does is it increases the front yard by 2 feet, so you've got kind of a net zero result as far as you see. And just so you know, we will be back later with this same request, because the problem is not going to be just to this particular parcel, while Beezer's is just these 59 lots in phase 1 of parcel 1D. Because the whole project has the detached sidewalk, this issue will probably come up again with different home products. So you'll see that in the BET amendment that we'll be processing here in the next month or so. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there any questions for the applicant?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. With that, actually, before we leave that, my question to staff, and it, not necessarily directly to the application, but if this is going to continue to happen, is there a policy change that needs to be considered for future PADs?
Mr. Chairman, where's Karen? Karen, you want to answer that? In terms of El Cedro, because the BET application is going to also address this, but the policy requirement, I think, is fine. It's just that Beezer's product is a little bit different than the norm.
So that being said, we don't feel that we're going to continue to run into this same problem with other developers or home builders.
The 20-yard, I'm sorry, I put Karen on the spot to answer it, but that's okay. Excuse me, Karen, I didn't mean to do that. But I would say that the 20-foot front yard setback does serve a legitimate public purpose of ensuring that vehicles don't overhang the sidewalk. If there's, and that's why we're supportive of the Beezer application and taking that 2 feet out of the rear yard, because there's not really necessarily an impact. So I think if there's anything that should be looked at in terms of setbacks, it would be the rear yard, not necessarily the front yard.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question.
And I just wanted to clarify, one of the reasons this came up in El Cedro was that the project had been platted prior to the detachment of the sidewalks. So we had a situation where all the lots were created. And so I don't think you're going to see this problem happen in other subdivisions. It's something that, had we known about initially, it would have been, we could have probably planned a little better for it, but it kind of came up in the middle of the project.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, to Mr. Bliley's point, we have lots of plats out there that have been approved previously that this issue may come up on again, because that were approved 10 years ago that haven't been built yet.
Right.
And so as the home development building community standards have changed, those lots may need to change as well. So it can be something that comes up. However, that 20-yard front yard setback, the 20-foot front yard setback, does serve a good public purpose in order to keep vehicles from overhanging onto the sidewalk.
I would agree. With that, for staff, then, are we, in the case numbers, are we just approving the first case number?
Thank you, Chairman. I have motion language here, so I can't, did the public hearing close? I'm sorry.
Yeah, did you ask for comment
Oh,
from
I
anybody
did.
So
That's
why
right.
don't you go ahead and finish the public
Is there any
hearing
other-
and we can walk you through the procedures.
Any public comments or any slips that you have on this particular item? Nope. Okay. We'll close the public hearing. I think it was my first time.
Thank you. If it's the desire of the commission, someone will make the motion that's before you. And then after someone makes that a motion, then we'll need a motion to amend that motion. And basically it'll say move to recommend the El Cedro final planned area development to amend the development standards applicable to parcel 1D to modify the rear setback from 20 feet to 18 feet for single-story houses, subject to all stipulations on prior zoning ordinances for this parcel.
I got it. I got that.
So if yeah, I can.
You can hand it over.
Can someone motion what Katie said?
What she said.
So this is the
You'll make
Do you want a motion and then it's amended for this?
Correct.
Okay, so we just need a motion to approve the 18-210 first and then an amendment.
Yes.
Okay, so I will take a motion just to approve the case.
Okay, Chairman, I motion to approve case 18-210-00002/03.
Then I'll need a second for that.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Keys, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve the rezoning of El Cedro final PAD. Then I will take the amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we amend the motion as follows: to move the recommend the El Cedro final planned area development to amend the development standards applicable to parcel 1 to modify the rear setback from 20 feet to 18 feet for single-story homes, subject to all existing stipulations and on prior zoning ordinances for parcel 1D.
I second.
It is the main motion has been amended by Commissioner Kish and seconded by Commissioner Maloney. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Amendment carries. Now we'll vote on the main motion as amended. And all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Well, that was fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for sticking with us. Agenda item 8.1 is the City of Goodyear Water Campus number 12. I will open the public hearing on that. And Joe is presenting. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually have the next 3 items.
Perfect.
If you want to do a consent agenda, I wouldn't hurt my feelings. But... Okay, we'll take them one by one. So this is the rezoning request from the City of Goodyear to rezone the property that is commonly referred to as Water Campus number 12, which is located at south of Lower Buckeye Road and west of 173rd Avenue. The property is currently, the northern portion of the property is currently occupied by the Water Campus. That is, I'm sorry, I lost my spot. 3.26 acres of the 5.75 acre site. The southerly part of the property was acquired from the developer of El Cedro to allow for potential expansion of the site. The original zoning on the existing Water Campus actually goes back to the original AG when it was first annexed into the city. At that time, a use permit was not required for a public utility facility in serving the immediate area. And so the Water Campus was developed under the zoning ordinance in the early 90s. Currently, a use permit is required for a public utility facility in any residential district. And so since the existing site was essentially non-conforming to the current zoning and the southerly part was zoned residential, it was recommended to the Public Works Department that they file a request to rezone the entire property to the Public Facilities District, which allows for the development as they intend for the property. Oops. So to give you a perspective, this is the Water Campus site originally, and then the area immediately south was going to be platted with 11 lots around a cul-de-sac. But the city purchased the property before the final plat was finalized. And so that existed as Tract F, part of Parcel 3, and that's what the city acquired. So you can see where it fits in with the balance of the El Cedro development. This is the same drawing, except that it's the open space plan. So you can see that there's where the expansion was going to occur, and then there's a landscape buffer between this area and the lots that Beezer talked to you about just a few minutes ago. That's a 100-foot wide WAPA transmission easement for electric. Oops, sensitive. So this is the conceptual site plan that the Public Works Department has developed so far. The existing equipment that's on the site where they do some reverse osmosis treatment and such is here. And then there's an existing 2 million gallon water storage tank that's depressed so that it doesn't stick up above the wall by more than a few feet. The plan is to construct a second 2 million gallon storage tank to help serve the expanding area that is referred to as West Goodyear. And then there would be a treatment building constructed in this area, which would house the reverse osmosis treatment and the disinfectant and all the other things that they do to make the water taste so good. This is a conceptual rendering of what the building might look like. Most of the building will be below the height of the perimeter wall when viewed from the outside, but they, during the site plan review process, will do the design review for it too, and they've already made some effort to try to make the building look more residential than industrial. And that's just another view of it, and this is through kind of an aerial perspective. The site will be entirely surrounded by a concrete block wall that matches the style that is being used in El Cedro. And landscaping will be installed along the frontage of the site along 173rd Avenue using the same plant palette that is used by El Cedro on the other side of the street. So staff has reviewed it in the context of the criteria that we use to review rezonings, and we find that it is compatible with the surrounding area, and we have recommended approval of the rezoning as requested.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Is there any questions for staff at this time? None?
We do have representatives from the Public Works Department and Engineering Department if there's any questions of the applicant.
Does anybody want to ask the city some questions?
No. I'm good.
Why their water bill's so high, or? With that, then, is there any speakers cards on this issue, or any member of the public that would like to address the commission on this? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve case number 18-200-00005.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Maloney, seconded by Commissioner Steiner, to approve the City of Goodyear Water Campus number 12 rezone. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to agenda 8.2. This is a use permit for the public utility facility, well number 25. And with that, I'll open the public hearing, and Joe will present on that as well.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and Commission members, this is the use permit that I referred to that's required for a public utility facility in a residential district. This is the subject property is for well number 25 that the city wishes to develop on this site. You can see it here outlined in red. It's kind of centrally located in the El Cedro development. So this is the same map you saw before, except now we're focused on the well site, which is located right here. It's basically, the site is about 100 by 100, and they've nestled it in the corner of the El Cedro Drive and the local street is in the area that's going to be a open space and retention area in the development. So it kind of kept it away from the surrounding area, so you can see where it would fit within this open space parcel within the El Cedro project. This is the site plan for the well itself, and it outlines the equipment. everything that'll be on the site will be below the height of the perimeter wall. And the perimeter wall that they intend to use will be the same. That matches the perimeter walls that are planned to be used in LC Joe development. This is the landscaping plan. They will install supplemental landscaping along the perimeter of the site adjacent to the street sides. And then the other sides will just basically face the adjacent park. We have evaluated this item pursuant to the criteria we use to review use permits, and we find it to be compatible with the surrounding area and appropriate at this location, and we have recommended approval of the special use subject to the stipulations outlined in your agenda packet.
Was there any questions for Joe at this time?
No.
Is there an existing well there?
Not at this time. I believe they've drilled a pilot well just to test it, but there is not a well on the site at the present time.
Okay. This might be actually for Public Works then. Obviously, that well would feed the water facility up above.
Good evening, Chair, Commission members. My name is Barbara Chappell. I'm with the City of Goodyear Public Works Department, and the intent for this well is to feed the Water Campus 12.
And maybe I'm not aware of this, then why wouldn't you dig the well inside of the Water Campus, saving building another structure so far from the campus?
There is an existing well inside the Water Campus. The project is to add this well, another well that will be up on Lower Buckeye, and those two will transmit to the central treatment location at the water treatment facility, the Site 12. So the building is being added and the RO treatment is being expanded as part of this project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any questions for the applicant?
No.
They covered it. Yeah.
A comment? No. Anyone here from the public wish to address this issue or any speakers cards? With that, I will close the public hearing and take a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 18-300-00003.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Keys to issue the use permit for well number 25. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Agenda item 8.3 is a special use permit to allow wireless communication on Water Campus number 12. And with that, I'll open the public hearing and ask Joe to present.
Mr. Chairman and Commission members, we're on this case. It's a special use permit for a wireless communication facility, or otherwise referred to as communications tower, that will enable this site to communicate with the balance of the water system. It's located on Water Campus number 12, so we're back on that site. The tower itself would be located approximately at this location here, which places it about 120 feet from the west property line and about 97 feet from the east property line. But then there's an additional 60 feet plus in the 173rd Avenue, which makes it exceed the minimum requirement of providing a separation of 2 times the height of the tower from any residential district. This is just a the site plan for the landscaping again with the communications tower at this location. Again, the wall around it will shield some of the monopole, but it'll be 60 feet tall. It'll have a single Yagi type antenna on it. The size of the antenna was exaggerated on this drawing. It's actually only going to be about 30 inches long, so it won't look exactly like this. This is a rendering that you saw with the other application, but this one focused on the tower itself. And you can barely see it in this one because of the color and the background of the sky. This is more likely what it would look like in this perspective. So a special use permit is required for any wireless communication facility. The Public Works Department, as I said, filed this application so that they could establish communications with the other portions of their SCADA system that they use to control and communicate between sites. The staff has reviewed this one as well in conformance with, and finds it in conformance with the criteria for wireless communication facilities. And we also have found it in conformance with the criteria used for special use permits. With that, we have recommended approval subject to the stipulations in the agenda material.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions for staff?
Is this a standard monopole, or is this something different about this particular one, either size-wise or location-wise, that you have to worry about?
Chairman Bray, Commissioner Kish, typically with the wireless communication towers you see around town are about 65 feet tall or a little bit taller. They have antenna arrays on them that are more substantial than this type of an antenna. Those facilities, you usually see a 3-array antenna with 4 antennas in each of the arrays, and each one being like a foot by 8 feet. So this one, many times when we review wireless communication facilities in other parts of the community, we have required them to be camouflaged and made to look like palm trees. But they have a more substantial equipment on those than this one is anticipating. So for that reason, we felt that it was minimally intrusive and would not impact the surrounding area. I would point out that on the WAPA easement just to the south, there's a series of fairly large electric transmission towers that are also present in the area, which kind of will make this one look small.
Thank you, Joe.
Any other questions for the staff or the applicant?
No.
No? Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Speakers cards? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 18-350-00001.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Keys, to approve the special use permit, allow the wireless communication facility. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good. City's in compliance now. 8.4, this is the Village at Pebble Creek PAD. Alex is going to present on this issue, and I will open the public hearing.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the Commission. Good evening. To preface, if you remember from last month, the Christopher Todd Communities PAD, this proposal is very similar to that. So it's not the same project, it's a different one. You're not crazy. The subject property is located at the southwest corner of Pebble Creek Parkway and Virginia Avenue. So it's east of the Palm Valley Phase 8 community, which is Portales, south of Robeson's Pebble Creek community, and east of the Goodyear Plan Regional Center. The subject property is currently zone PAD, and underlying zoning is general commercial C2 within that Palm Valley Phase 8 PAD. To the east, as I mentioned, is zone for single-family residential. That parcel to the south in this image, you can see it's zoned URH, which is multifamily residential, which equates to the city's MF18 district. The request tonight is to pull the subject property out of the Palm Valley Phase 8 PAD and create a singular PAD that would allow for a single-story multifamily residential facility called the Villages, or currently called the Villages at Pebble Creek PAD. Excuse me. This is a comparison of the development standards to the city's MF18 standards. So you'll see the one-story restriction, height restriction. The proposal also reduces the maximum building coverage. The outer boundaries of the property are made up of the backyards of the units, so those building setbacks will contain backyards. This is part of the reasoning for the deviation in side setbacks. In a standard garden-style apartment complex, these setbacks usually contain parking spaces or drive aisles or buildings themselves. But in this circumstance, those setbacks are just backyards of single-story units. Therefore, in a fashion similar to development standards we've recently seen, staff finds these deviations agreeable. This is an image of the conceptual site plan. So just like the Christopher Todd PAD last time, I'll reiterate that this PAD does not approve a site plan, only development standards. On this site plan, we have 184 units. There's also a stipulation that restricts the amount of units to 184. These units are made up of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. The main entry is off Harvard Street. So we have Pebble Creek running along the property. Harvard Street is already signalized. And then there is the leasing office is located at this main entry. There's a second entrance and exit on the north of the site, which lets out onto Virginia Avenue, that's up here. This would require a median cut on Virginia to allow a left turn. If you're coming westbound from Pebble Creek, it allows you to turn left into the complex. The exit at this site is restricted to right out movements. So if someone's leaving the apartment complex, they would have to make a right only turn. They wouldn't be able to go left on Virginia Avenue. The traffic study for this rezone was reviewed by the city's engineering department and approved. The study anticipated a decrease in trips generated compared to commercial use. The proposed site plan also includes a pool, a fitness center, and smaller parks throughout the site. These are some conceptual elevations for the project. On the upper left, we have the 1-bedroom units, and those come in 2 packs like the Christopher Todd we've recently seen. On the right and on the bottom are the 2- and 3-bedroom units. On April 25th, the city hosted a neighborhood meeting for the applicant to receive public input. About 8 residents attended this meeting. The residents were from the adjacent Palm Valley neighborhood, and their concerns were related to density, noise, and traffic. The applicant also met with the Portales HOA for an additional meeting. Staff received a letter from the HOA in support of the zoning request. So based on the city's requirements for zoning and engineering standards, the applicant has demonstrated compliance. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the action. This concludes my presentation for you tonight. The applicant is here and has a presentation as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Does anybody have questions for Alex at this time? Sir, at this time, I'll make sure we get there, but we don't actually take questions from the public, but we will get to you. Before we do public comment, I ask the applicant to come forward and address the commission. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Chairman Bray, members of the commission. My name is Benjamin Tate with Withey Morris, 2525 East Arizona Biltmore Circle, on behalf of the applicant. Before I get started, I would just like to say a quick thank you to Goodyear staff. This has actually been a rare pleasure to work with their staff. They're incredibly responsive. They do a great job. And we submitted this original application a little less than a year ago and went through some revisions and brought it back in. Staff has been incredibly great to work with, and it's really nice to finally be here and to be able to present this project to you. So as Ms. Listinsky noted, our project is on the southwest corner of Virginia Avenue and Pebble Creek Parkway. I know I only have a brief amount of time, so I'll try to rush through some of the stuff that she already covered. Here's a closer aerial photo of the site. Again, you have Portales to the west, Pebble Creek to the north, the Goodyear Planned Regional Center to the east, and some more vacant lands to the south. So this is a just over 15 gross acre site. It is zoned C2. It was originally zoned in 2005. It is currently vacant land, and it has been vacant land since it was originally zoned as part of this PAD.
Actually, Mr. Tate, can you go back one slide real quick? And I don't typically do this, but the gentleman in the back asked the question about Harper Street, and Harper Street is that light that you see there. Can you point to that?
Is there a laser on here?
Harvard.
Harvard, yeah.
Oh, there's an arrow there.
Chairman Bray, this is Harvard, the Harvard Street light.
So this is just a perspective shot. So you're looking northwest here, looking towards the Pebble Creek community, and then just to the west is Portales. Here's another one looking back towards southeast, towards I-10, Marketplace at Estrella Falls and Goodyear Center Point in the distance, Monte Vista Road a little bit to the south. So I wanted to walk through some historical aerials just to demonstrate the pattern of development that's occurred in this area and why this project not only makes sense, but will ultimately be a big benefit for the community. So this is 1998. You start to see some residential development to the northeast there, but otherwise mostly agricultural land. This is 2002. Now you're starting to see the beginnings of the Pebble Creek community, a little bit more residential development. Again, you'll note that there's a square there where our site is. I can't really tell exactly what it is there, but still undeveloped. Starting to see more significant develop, 2005, 2010, now Portales is starting to be developed. This site's still vacant. You start to see some commercial going into the south and a little bit of commercial just on the other side of Pebble Creek Parkway there. 2015, Portales is now almost completely developed. A lot of residential development in the area. You start to see more commercial development as well. And now this is present day. You start to see the beginnings of the planned regional center. You've got full commercial development to the south and healthy residential, single-family residential development all around. The reason that I bring this up is because through the period of time that it took residential development to reach this area and develop with all the single-family residential around it, you had a coinciding decrease in the demand for commercial and particularly retail commercial uses to the point where now with online retail and all of the other outlets that make retail sales possible, there just simply isn't the demand for commercial real estate that we once saw. And that's why, despite the fact that the site was originally developed for commercial in 2005, or sorry, zoned for commercial in 2005, it is still vacant today. And sort of dovetailing off of that point, there's been an increase in the difficulty for just your average family to afford a single family home. Just in the last year, there's been a 9% median increase in the median home price in Maricopa County. Homes that are priced below $350,000 have dropped 20% in the last year. Entry-level home inventory is down almost a quarter in the last year, and the average 30-year fixed is up almost 3/4 of a percentage point in the last year. What we are proposing, and Alex had alluded to this with the other project that's been through here recently, there was a similar project. This project is designed to fill the gap between your traditional garden-style apartment complexes and your single-family owned homes. For a number of individuals who may not be either in a position or desire to live in an apartment, but also have a similar desire or don't yet have the ability to buy a single-family home. So we are proposing to rezone this to a PAD for multifamily residential development. As Alex noted, it's 184 units. That comes down to a density of about 12 units per acre, which for multifamily is a reasonably low density. It is single-story and restricted to a maximum height of 22 feet. However, I would like to note that 22-foot maximum height is for the leasing office and the community center. The actual heights of the individual units at the top of the pitched roofs, which you'll see in some elevations later in this presentation, is actually 16 feet. It is a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, and it will be a gated community with the 2 entrances off of Virginia Avenue and Pebble Creek Parkway. So this is going to be marketed and sold as a luxury multifamily product. We're talking about granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, high-end finishes. This is targeted towards a sort of more luxury multifamily property, but in a single-family package. These, with the exception of the single-family unit, or sorry, the one-bedroom units, which are duplexes, the 2 and 3 bedroom units are detached, so they will be more like a single-family or casita-style product than your traditional apartments. It will be professionally managed. It's a lock-and-leave type of a development. Bungalow-style units with pitched roofs. Here you see the 2-bedroom unit, or sorry, this is the 3-bedroom unit. There will be substantial covered parking, and garage units will actually be available for lease. And you can see here one of the garage facilities, which will have 4 garages within each one. And as I mentioned, high quality finishes and materials. So as you'll see through the next couple of slides here, these are the materials that you'll see on the exterior. So stone facades, desert tones, but in more of a bungalow style architecture than sort of the Southwestern architecture you may be used to seeing. So as I mentioned, this is designed to create a bridge between traditional traditional single-family home lifestyle with the convenience of a professionally managed and highly amenitized apartment community. It offers the independence and privacy of a single-family community without some of the maintenance obligations of home ownership, and it fulfills a housing need that is sought by a number of demographics that will find this use to be in this product to fit their needs. Particularly, this is going to be marketed towards young professionals, military personnel, empty nesters, and retirees. Given the proximity to Luke Air Force Base, when you have people that are do a permanent change of station, a PCS to a base for 3 years, they may not be in a position where they want to buy a house or risk, having their house drop if the market falls out. And a product like this, which gives them the independence of a single-family configuration without the obligations and risk of a mortgage. Alex walked through the development standards, so I'll be brief through here. We're restricted in height to 22 feet. Under the current C2 zoning, you could put up to 56 feet on that property. The maximum density we're requesting is 13 dwelling units an acre, but the actual proposed on the site plan is just less than that at 12 units an acre. The building maximum building coverage is 10% lower than what would currently be permitted with the commercial zoning. We're proposing a minimum recreational outdoor space of 1,000 square feet per dwelling unit. So for every dwelling unit on this site, there's 1,000 square feet of open space. I know the traffic has been a concern. That's one of the things that was noted at the neighbor meeting, so I think it's appropriate to walk through that really quickly. As Alex noted, there is a full signalized movement at the main entrance, which is off of Harvard Street. There will be a 3/4 movement at Virginia Avenue. This will be a resident-only entrance and exit. You won't be able to turn left onto Virginia Avenue coming out of the project. As you saw in the site plan, it's got a looped private drive for internal circulation, so there's no parking and there are no roadways on the exterior of the complex. So things like headlights shining into someone else's backyard, you're not going to see that because everything is screened by the units. Alex also noted that this is a significant decrease in the traffic that you would expect to see with a comparable commercial development with the existing zoning. With the traffic study that we did, we found that it's actually almost 6,000 fewer average daily trips with what we are proposing versus a commercial strip center, which is what you would typically see with this type of development.
30 seconds left.
Oh, boy. I will briefly walk through the setbacks to residential. So as Alex noted, it is a 20-foot setback along the perimeter. That 20 feet will have backyards abutting the adjacent residential community. There is also a 50-foot landscape tract between us and Portales, so that brings it to 70 feet. But then there's also an average 25 to 30-foot setback for those single-family homes. So the actual distance you'll see from our closest unit to the closest home in Portales is about 100 feet, which is a larger separation distance than you would see from 2 homes back-to-back within Portales.
Time.
And I guess I'll stop there.
Does anybody have any questions for the applicant at this time?
I did have a question regarding this is a multifamily. There's no age restrictions on this community. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, there are no what?
Age restrictions. So it's not a 55-plus community.
No.
So has there been any thought to where children will be picked up from buses, those type of things? Because you're going to have families in here, and it doesn't look like, I don't know what Portales has for children to walk through on these walkways. I just didn't know if there was thought to where a bus would pick up children or where they would go for school.
So at this point, sorry, Chairman Bray, Commissioner Kish, I would merely be speculating at this point, but I would assume that the bus pickup would be at the main entrance at Harvard Street.
Okay.
You know, given the requirements for a turnaround for trash and fire trucks and things like that, I imagine that those would have to accommodate a school bus as well. But that would be worked out at the later stages of development with traffic and engineering.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. I will now go to call to the public. Is there anyone that would like to address the commission at this time, or are there any speakers cards, Heather? None? Okay. So here's how we're going to do this, just to make sure the rules are clear. You are all welcome to address the commission. Make sure you fill out a speaker's card. You can certainly come up before you do it. Just make sure you do it afterwards. We need your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to address the commission, and Katie will be our timer for this evening, and so she'll let you know when you're getting close to the end of those 3 minutes. Typically, we take the comments, and there aren't back and forth on questions. It's just we consider your comments and then move forward. So with that, ma'am, you were excited about getting up here, and so we'll take you first. And then you can just give that to Alex or Heather, please.
Jennifer Calavini, 15849 West Alvarado. I live in Portales.
Actually, just time out real quick, Katie. I want to back up to one of the original maps, actually, in Mr. Tate's deal. He had a really nice map, just so that if residents want to point to something or...
It's going to be the very first slide, right?
Yeah, right. And maybe just to help us out, where exactly you kind of are in relationship to the project.
Right. So we support the project. We have one concern right now. The grading on that, there's been a lot of excessive dirt that has been put there over the years. We want to just get it on record to make sure that that project is going to take it back down to a street level grading, and that they're going to take a look at it. We are currently experiencing some flooding in some parts of Portales because of the fill that has been going on in that lot. So we just want to get it on record that we're making sure that that grade is taken down to the street grade level.
Thank you for that, and I'll ask staff to note this at that time, and then we'll just answer it at the end. Is that okay, Chris?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, if I may interject, ma'am. If you can put your phone number on the speaker card, then what we'll do is have our engineering department reach out to you.
Thank you, Chris. Who's up next? Don't be shy.
Mike Sanders. I live at 15849 West Alvarado. That's my wife. Just wanted to, real quick, and I'll fill out a card. Just real quick, this is not a small grading problem. There's 7 feet of dirt there. And we want to make sure that 7 feet are taken off that hill and that we're not looking at one-story houses up on top of that. Does that make sense? We really want to get that down so that we're looking at rooftops and not somebody's back door. That's our concern. It's not a small amount of dirt, 7 feet. Okay?
Absolutely. Appreciate the comments. Anyone else? No one else? You just came to watch? That's impressive. Last chance. All right. I will close the public hearing. And I actually, just to clear the air there and answer that question, can you give the specifics on the grading and our policy on that?
Thank you, Chairman. I'll answer just the height. That just to assure all members that per the zoning ordinance, required heights are measured from the streets. So we would use Virginia Avenue and we use the center line of the street as our reference point to measure required heights. So somebody's not able to build up basically a hill to add height. So, and Christopher may want to discuss the.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, Commission, thank you for the question. Right now, we're going through the zoning process that will establish the development regulations that the project would have to adhere to. There would be subsequently a site plan approval, which will get into some preliminary grading and things of that nature, as well as cut and fill. And then obviously construction documents that run through our engineering department as far as cut and fill. So we don't have the specific answer to your question of how much fill is going to be removed at this point in time. But to Katie's point in regards to how things are measured, I think that adequately protects the neighborhood because it is limited in the development regulations to 22 feet.
Thank you, Chris and Katie. And thank you, Alex, for presenting on this. With that, I will take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number 17-210-00006, Villages at Pebble Creek PAD.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Keys, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to move approve the Villages at Pebble Creek PAD. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Tate, thank you for coming out and the kind words about our staff. Thank you to the public. It's always exciting to have people in the room. We usually don't. We made the comment about 8.5, agenda item 9, staff communications.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, this is the point in the meeting where we give the recap.
If you guys, Mr. Tate, if you guys just want to move out into the hallway, we do have a few agenda items left. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Mr. Chairman, Commission, as you know, this is the point in the agenda where we recap previous actions and council outcomes. On June 3rd, excuse me, let me back up. On May 30th, because as you know, when we appreciate your graciousness to have 2 meetings the last couple of months. So things are active and busy. And as council gets ready to go on a break, we wanted to stagger these meetings in order to assist our customers move through the process instead of having to wait until August 20th for any action. So thank you for your cooperation in meeting tonight. On the May 30th Planning Commission meeting, if you'll recall, there was a use permit for a Starbucks drive-through on Pebble Creek Parkway. The council considered that at their June 11th meeting and approved it. There was also a preliminary plat approval for Australia Parcel 11D1, which is in Lucero community that's currently under construction. The council considered that on June 11th, and that was approved as well. On the June 13th, the June 25th City Council meeting, the council considered Christopher Todd Communities at Canyon Trails. If you remember, that one is a single-family detached rental community that Alex referred to. It's on the west side of Canyon Trails, and that was approved by council. There was also a use permit for the pool in the front yard in the custom home community area of a portion of Australia. That was also unanimously approved by council on June 25th. And then finally, the amendment for PV 303 to allow the increase of the height to 130 feet and then rezone 11 acres from C2 to industrial. That was considered on June 25th and likewise approved unanimously by the council. So that concludes my presentation. I think Katie's.
I do. I just wanted to add 2 things. One, just to let you know that the vacant council seat was filled on Monday. Laura Cano was appointed, who has served on the Arts and Culture Commission and the Water Conservation Commission. Really? So she has some experience on our commission, so she will be a new face. She will be serving out Joanne Osborne's term, and once that's served, then there will be an election to fill this seat permanently. And then the other thing I wanted to add is just it's been a pleasure to see you every 2 weeks for the last couple months. But I hope you all enjoy our little break, and we'll see you August 8th at our next meeting. So I hope everyone has a wonderful 4th of July.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
You should all be commended with
Yes.
The applicant's comments this evening. I know for me, it makes me proud to serve on a commission when I have, when there's solid staff backing us up all the time. So you guys keep up the good work.
I echo that. I have so little questions because honestly, the questions I did have, they were all answered in the package, like on the wireless communication tower. any signage, is there going to be, there was any other uses, could you put it somewhere else? All those things were looked at. So, kudos to you guys.
Enjoy your summer. Meeting adjourned.